Welcome to
Yeah.
Cancer Nursing Power Hour, your go-to spot for real talk and real tips in the world of nursing.
So plug in, scrub up, and let's go. This is Pacer Nursing Power Hour, where students get powered up. What would you say that are early warning signs that maybe you would know that there's an issue, but leadership's not paying attention?
Know that they're necessarily taught it maybe, but sometimes there's like this false sense of security, that like we're going to have your back and this is a just culture environment. I'm not knocking those things at all. Okay, I'm not knocking those things at all. I think those are great. When the rubber hits the road, that's when it matters. When something bad actually happens, how leadership responds to it then is a real good identification of how your culture is in a facility, what you're actually going to do. You really don't know that kind of thing, right? Until you see it happen. So I think the best thing you can do is just know that as warm and fuzzy as you get about your job and how everyone's got your back and everyone's a team here and everyone loves everyone, it's all kumbaya. At the end of the day, your name is on that license. You pay the dues, you took the NCLEX, you did the time to get the degree, to take the test, to get the job. Your name is on all that documentation. You have to remember what your responsibility is.
Yeah.
Don't get the warm and fuzzy that, "Oh, I'm just gonna follow the doctor's orders because that's what I have to do." That's a miscommunication, about
Yes.
things, like, new nurses think that they just have to follow the order, and then the doctor yells at him.
We were talking about this yesterday.
Is not going to stand on trial after you've
No.
given the blood pressure medicine when you told him, "I don't think I should give the blood pressure medicine because there's 90 over 50.
Yeah.
She's up walking around. I don't think I should give it," right? I'm not giving it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you have to own that decision, but you also have to own it if it goes the other way. If you follow an order blindly and you said, I didn't think I should have gave it, but the doctor said I had to.
I don't care.
What does your Nurse Practice Act state? I think that's another thing that people, I don't know, when we're talking about safety, I just think about myths. Nurses, they get warm and fuzzy, they get kumbaya, they forget that they're on their own in reality. You
That's
need to
true,
have
though.
you
I've
probably
been
should
through
have a
it.
liability insurance
Family.
for yourself, and
Mhm.
you also need to know, here's a big kicker. Hospital policy does not supersede your Nurse Practice Act.
Okay, good to know.
Wow.
Hospital policy does not supersede your Nurse Practice
I
Act.
mean, that makes sense.
If you are brought in front of a board of nursing, if you are brought in front of civil litigation, if you are sitting in front of a criminal court, bet your bottom dollar they are going to bring an expert in, and that expert is going to refer to one thing and one thing only. What does the Nurse Practice Act say
No.
around what you were doing at that time? I don't
And
care if your facility has a policy that says that you can do this. If you don't have all the knowledge, training, and skills to actually competently do that to the level of a reasonable and prudent nurse that also follows your Nurse Practice Act, you're in the wrong.
And those nurse practice acts,
they're
they are hard to
yeah,
read
they're not
too.
it's not an
Real hard to
easy
read. They're
Like,
real hard to
I
read, but
need
I recommend you
the
make that your
the
print.
dummy version of the nurse practice.
I reckon. Oh, that's a book. You should write that. You should write the Nurse Practice Act for dummies.
And
I
we can put
mean
our faces on
I
it.
mean,
Nurse practice act for dummy.
I
Yeah.
did print it out because it's so
It's
confusing
so
because you have
confusing.
the A&A standards of practice and scope
Yep.
of practice, and then you have your state nurse practice act that don't
That's what you're gonna be held to. That's what your license are gonna be held to.
I don't think we do a good enough
License
job
gonna be
teaching.
held to that Nurse Practice Act. And I can tell you, new nurses, that they're like, "What is that?"
That should be a class within itself.
Yeah.
That should be a class within itself, which kinda goes into some of those other questions you were gonna
Yeah,
ask
so
Yeah.
through
about
all of
legal
it
and things like that.
yes,
I think that's a missing portion of education
help
that
policy.
nurses really could
Let's
benefit
do it.
from.
Yeah, I've been saying that forever.
Yeah.
And I think with the essentials, our school is going up for reaccreditation this year, so, you have to it's like Joint Commission, you take a deep dive.
Yes. Yeah.
So, that's one of the areas that is really being, like,
Lacking.
thrown out there because we don't own our profession, and it's
Yeah.
just gonna
Yeah.
get worse after
Yeah.
the summer, but still,
Yeah.
that is so true. I printed that nurse practice out, and it's vague enough.
Mhm.
It's for legal brains, not medical brains.
It is, which brings me to my next point.
Okay.
It's for legal brains, not medical brains.
Yep.
You have
Mhm.
dealt with that to the nth degree.
So, if you find yourself in front of people
Mm,
and they're referring back to this Nurse Practice Act and they're looking at things and now you're in front of civil litigation, you're in front of a board of nursing. God
mm.
forbid you're in front of a criminal agent, a criminal investigator. You don't speak their language.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
You
a great
don't
movie. It's
speak
like a
their
different
language.
language.
Lawyers speak the language of the law. If you had a patient who came in and they spoke Spanish or Mandarin or Russian or whatever,
You would get an
you would
interpreter,
get an interpreter,
but
and you
you
wouldn't
know
call the
it
Spanish interpreter to interpret Mandarin.
Mm-mm.
You call the Spanish interpreter for a Spanish person. You're not gonna go get a criminal lawyer
Good
to
point.
represent you in front of an administrative hearing, which is your board of nursing.
That's a really
You're
good
not gonna get an administrative lawyer to represent you in a civil litigation issue. You need the right kind of person that speaks the right kind of law because they are very different. They are just as different as all
Yep.
of your specialties inside the hospital.
Mhm.
It's like ER, OR, ICU, pediatrics,
Yep.
stubbed toes.
I
They're
mean,
all different.
I had to go my sister is a lawyer, and there was something in there, I'm like, "Susan, what does this Latin word mean?
What's
You
this?
speak
Yeah,
lawyer." And she's like, "Oh, it's basically like, double jeopardy,"
yeah.
I think it had to do with the board of nursing, cleared you first. It was somewhere around that, cleared you first and then revoked it later. But
Yeah, that double jeopardy doesn't exist in administrative law.
Right.
Due process doesn't exist in administrative law, and now we're talking way over people's heads.
You're
This
way over my head. I'm just like, "Okay, I'm here."
but the fact that
Okay,
I had to
due
call my
process means,
sister.
like, a reasonable expectation that someone okay, for example, I made a complaint about you to the board of nursing. The
Okay.
board of nursing calls you up and says, "Hey, we got a complaint about you." "Okay, what's the complaint?" "I can't tell you." "Who made the complaint?" "I can't tell you." "When did the complaint come in?" "I can't tell you."
So what you want me to do about it?
How do I know how to defend
Okay,
myself?
cool,
Due
Jinx.
due process is like, okay, well, if a criminal thing happened, you're gonna get that information,
Right.
right? Due process is an expectation that is written into the code of conduct for criminal law. This is why I tell you lawyers are not the same and the areas of law are not the same. The
Okay.
rules that dictate how they operate are not the same. So you need to understand that they are very, very, very different.
Yeah,
They
my
are
sister wanted to
speaking
work
different versions of the law.
yeah.
So and every state is different when it comes to their board of
Yeah.
nursing.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
states will be
Have to
more
tell you.
transparent. They will tell you, "Hey, this is where the complaint come from. This is what the complaint was about." Other states, they will not tell you. They will not tell you anything,
That's wild.
So
which
how do you
is
know how to defend yourself though in front of the board? How do you know
that's
how to do
With
it?
the right lawyer,
a
right?
great question. You can't. You
Hmm.
can't.
Okay.
You can't defend yourself against what you don't know. So then you get coerced into, signing a consent order that you don't understand what that means either. And the next thing you know, you're placed on the OIG database and you're like, I don't know what that means either. Or the National Practitioner database. And you're like, I don't know what that means either. And then all of a sudden, no one wants to hire you and you can't get insurance. And, your name's in the paper for unprofessional conduct because you're like, wait a minute, for what? For a complaint that I literally didn't even know what it was about. And I just signed the consent order because it was like basically saying, like, okay, I'll be good. I'll read my Nurse Practice Act, blah, 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 blah. And you didn't read all the fine print and understood what all that stuff meant. It's I know your
I'm
Fine
jaw is
print.
I'm
I
dropping.
don't read the fine print.
Administrative law is like the wild, wild west of law.
wow.
It's so un um no one's watching over these individual bodies and they just kind of do their own thing. They're like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. They make all the decisions and all of that information just stays right there with them. And you can't really challenge them because administrative law isn't set up to be able to do that.
I mean, you
Hmm.
brought up a very valid point. We have to have background checks
Uh-huh.
all the time. Who truly knows what all that is? Like, you said OIG, you're on the
I
go.
didn't know what that was until
Yes,
I started getting letters after my license were revoked, and that was in July of 2021. I was
yes,
like, "Oh, I'm on a database?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like,
Oh, I'm
tell
on
me
this other database? Okay."
know what
I
they're
didn't know what those things were, and I had already been dealing with this for
For
yeah,
years.
for
couple years.
years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
Wow. God,
yeah,
we don't
Mhm.
we need to do
Yeah.
more. We
yeah.
need to do
The
better.
amount of nurses that I talk to, lots of nurses reach out to me. The amount of nurses that I talk to who have had terrible experiences being called in front of a board of nursing for some reason or another, it is astounding. You wanna talk about a problem in nursing? That's a problem in nursing.
Mhm.
That's a problem in nursing. There is a significant lack of understanding about what the board of nursing's role is.
So tell me
They
clarify that a little bit for me.
Okay, so I think most young nurses think that the board of nursing, like, that's where you go to get your license,
Right.
right? These are the people who, if anyone should be like a jury of your peers and understand what it's like to be a nurse, it's the board of nursing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The board of nursing's job is to protect the interest of the public. It is to ensure that nurses practice to the safest minimum standards.
Which is the state practice,
To
Nurse
see
Practice Act.
Right, which in the interest of public safety. Their job is to protect the nurses or to protect the public from
Right.
nurses who do not practice safely. Their job is to giveth your license and discipline or taketh your license away should you not, should you fail to meet the minimum standards. And they're going to hold you accountable. I hate that word use. They're going to hold you to that. They're
Mm,
gonna look at that and they're gonna hold you to it, and you would think that there would be graciousness on the part of that, some understanding, but that's not their role. That's not their job, and more times than not, what I hear about is that they lean hard in the other direction,
wow.
right? It is discipline against the nurse. Like, they are looking if you get reported, even if it's false, if it's an accident, if it's irrelevant, the number of people who have gotten reported for irrelevant and untrue things that still wind up
In
in
front of
disciplinary programs and with disciplinary action on their license because once you're in the system, well, now we're looking at everything. Well, like, well, it wasn't that, but oh, we can find this. You
wow.
know, it's a very convoluted, kind of draconian process that's really hard to understand. But their job, just know, their job is not to be an advocate for you. Their job is not to protect you as a nurse. Their job is to protect the public. If you are looking for an organization to protect your interests as a nurse, that's where your professional organizations come into place, right?
Yeah.
That's where you use your voice. You're like, okay, if I'm a critical care nurse, let's go join this group. If you're just a, med surge nurse, there's a group for those too. You can also join your state's nurses association.
Yep. South Carolina.
That's where you want to focus your efforts on, knowing what's happening and advocating for yourself as a nurse outside of work. The board of nursing is not the place that you want to wind up in front of.
So what skill for student or a new grad is the most important in order to remain safe, provide safety to their patients, and protect their license? Would you say like communication, boundary setting, their actual clinical skills?
Clinical skills are going to come,
Mhm.
right? The clinical
Practice.
skills are going to be developing a lot over time.
Mhm.
Um, I would say boundary setting and communicating while you're doing that. Communicating is very important. You can communicate even if you don't know a whole lot.
Right.
You still have the ability to say something doesn't feel right, or I just don't feel I'm not skilled enough
Right.
to take that assignment. I'm not comfortable enough to do that. Or I understand that, you know, everyone does it this way, but that's not the way the procedure goes and is written per your policy.
Mm,
And I don't feel comfortable doing it that way because I'm not experienced enough to trust that I'm going to do it safely without hurting someone by by looping around all these things. I can't do that. I'm so sorry. right? That's communication and boundary setting at the same time.
Yeah.
And
No,
your clinical skills are gonna come over time, but I think part of developing good clinical skills is to not make bad habits.
right. Don't learn it the wrong
Oh,
Don't
way.
learn it the wrong way. It's a slippery slope when you start bobbing and weaving around policies and procedures and protocols and safety mechanisms that have been put into place. It is a slippery slope. Those things are put into place to try to help make work safer. Now, if they're not, if they're a burden, if they're unrealistic, if they sound good on paper, but they don't really work well at
Right.
all, here we go. That's communication. Hey, tell my manager, how do we get in touch with IT? This doesn't work. I don't know if you knew that or not, but this doesn't work. It's a bad safety process. It doesn't work, and here's why, right? You put it in an email, send it up to your quality people. That's their job, right? And that's communication. My A lady that I met recently who is not in healthcare at all. She does human and organizational performance, and um, a lot of their work is in safety with other organizations. But she says this thing about communicating across the different layers of the organization. She says, great leaders do great things with great information.
Great leaders do great things with great
wow,
information.
yeah.
Yeah. No.
I can't expect more out of you than you have the information and knowledge and power to be able to affect. It's a flow of information, right? That communication, I think, it's probably one of the most important skills that you can have just as a person, right?
Yeah.
You need communication skills to be able to advocate and have a conversation with your patient, to be able to pick up on those clues, to be able to dig that patient's story out so that you can advocate for them properly. That's communication, right? That's how do I interact with this person? How do I pull out all the necessary information, the things that are really important, and then communicate that on to other people who can help me influence this patient's plan of care and make the appropriate changes. It's the same within your facility, right?
Mhm.
You're doing system assessments every day on people.
Mhm.
The hospital is just another giant complex system. And if you see something that's not working right and you're assessing the situation, you're like, that's a little sus. I don't know what's wrong there, but something ain't right there. And
Yeah.
I just need to tell you, quality people, risk people,
That's
right?
what y'all do.
That's what they do. That's what they do. That's literally their job is quality, safety, and mitigating risk. Your IT people are out there. If there's a problem with your medication administration process, if there's any problem with medication, find your med safety officer. That pharmacist will be your best friend.
I
Guess what?
wouldn't even
Email
know who
them.
to call at the last facility. I
I
wouldn't even know who to call.
I only
You
knew
would
because we had them on our
I didn't
unit.
even know who these people were. I
Yeah,
had no
I would have no clue.
I do
At
know
my
because
first
he said
hospital, we couldn't call the pharmacist at all because there wasn't one there after 11. If you needed a banana
no,
bag
that used to be
if
called
you needed a banana bag and I had to have this conversation with the traveling ER doctor one night, I said, "Baby girl, if you want this patient to have a banana bag, you're gonna have to order each independent thing that you want
in
because
it.
we don't have banana bags."
We
And
don't.
the ER has all of about 2 or 3 of them, and they ain't coming up off of them. I promise you.
No.
The pharmacist ain't gonna be back till 5 or 6 in the morning. So I'm gonna need you to order whatever you want. And she said, "Are you kidding me?" And I said, "I wish I was, but I'm not. Mm-mm, I'm not kidding you.
Mm-mm.
It is there's a lot of that. This is a whole other structure of like the hospital
Yeah.
and who people are and what their roles are. I think part of that legal class would also be understanding hospital structure and what those other roles are outside of just a nurse and a doctor that you're going to encounter and what their roles are. Like, so if you see a problem with medication administration issue, that goes straight to your med safety officer. That's the top of the person at your pharmacy, right?
Mhm.
Those people, it's their job and they really do care. I have not met a med safety officer who has not been fully vested.
I love
Really.
Fully vested.
another quote that I learned from you is pharmacists are your best friend.
Pharmacists are your best
Get to
friend.
know them.
I was talking to one of my pharmacy friends today, and this was one of the first pharmacists that I really met, and she has cojones the size of Texas. I adore her. Um, she she orchestrated me being able to speak in front of the first really big group of pharmacists that I spoke to. And she has a story of her own, an event that she was part of the chain, that a really bad outcome happened and a very young patient did not make it. And, so she understands this. And the med safety officers, they see all of the mistakes. They don't just see your mistake. They see all of the med errors. So yes, they are very much vested. They understand that we are humans and that mistakes are going to happen. They are very much vested in understanding how did this happen, and let's figure out how to fix it. Right? Like, medication errors are half of the adverse events that happen in hospitals.
50%. That's
More
crazy.
than likely because of a communication error.
I mean, if you just think about if you think about adverse events that happen in a hospital, if almost 50% of them are medication errors, that means a nurse was the last person to touch 50% of the patients that an adverse event happens to in a hospital.
That's wild. That is wild.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It's a lot. And so when you see something that doesn't add up or it doesn't feel right, the biggest thing you can do is to communicate. Even if you don't own the solution and you have no clue how to fix it, that's not your job, right? Just like when you call a doctor and you're like, yo, blood pressure's bad. She's tanking. I don't know what's happening, but here's the information. I need you to come over here and help me with this because this is
your
outside.
job now.
I'm doing everything I can. All right. I'm praying to Jesus. I'm shaking grandma, right? I'm doing all the things, but I'm going to need you to come over here and help me out with this because I've done all the holistic nursing practice interventions that I can do, right? And I ain't got nothing on orders to help me do anything else. I'm going to need you to come down here as your patient and make some more decisions, right? It's the same thing when you see problems in your system. Look at it the same way, right? Because that system is a living, breathing organization that has to work together. It has problems just like everything else. You got to tell the right people when you see that there are problems.
Yeah.
It's up to us. No one's coming to save us as a profession.
Right.
We've got to figure out how to save ourselves. And that part of that is figuring out where the problems are and being a part of the solution. Like, I don't want to hear you gripe about it at the nurse's station.
Do something. Say something.
That's
Yes.
fine. My neighbor and I have a policy. We get to vent one time.
Oh, that's a good policy. We need to implement that.
We clarify at the beginning of this conversation. I need 15 minutes of your time. I don't need you to say anything. I just need to vent.
Yep.
And at the end of it, when I'm done, that'll be that. And I might just hang up and that'll be it. And I'll say, okay, done. Right? Brene Brown does the same thing with her sister. And I love that. Sometimes you just need to get it out and you need to vent and you've had a bad day. Okay. Yeah. But I don't want to hear you consistently vent about something and gripe about something and bring down everybody else's morale and complain and be the negative Nancy if you're not going to do anything about it.
Yes.
Y'all, my husband is going to listen to this and he is going to use it as ammunition against me. Oh, Daniel.
Oh, sorry.
Listen to this
part. Daniel up.
Send him to the bathroom.
Yeah, be like, oh, yeah, we need to take a break. Fast forward.
Oh, basic stuff. You don't need to hear that.
The boring part.
Daniel. There's nothing for you here. We're going to talk about lady parts for the next 15 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, no, wait.
That's a good way to clear my husband's like, I got to go.
Yeah, when my husband realized that I saw naked men for a living, he was like, I don't know how to handle that.
Yeah. Look, people think women's boobs are sad. Man, old men's testicles, those are sad.
Yeah.
Gravity works the same way.
It does. It does.
It really does.
It really does.
Earn for.
Yeah, I'm on the downward. Yes, absolutely.
Gravity is effective.
Yeah, more botulism.
So when you were talking just a minute ago, we always talk about interdisciplinary teamwork in healthcare, like constantly. It's in every chapter.
It's almost like alarm fatigue right now.
Yeah, and I always thought about like in the ER, I'm running alongside my ER docs. I'm with RT. Okay, the cath team's coming in for this patient. Like all the people in front of me that were right next to me, and I have never ever considered the behind the scenes people as part of my interdisciplinary team.
Mhm, on the C-suite.
So I
Yep.
think that's something I need to change my perspective on that.
Yeah.
That's, I think, beautiful
I
advice.
didn't think about that either.
I just never have thought about that
That's
until
Yeah.
just
Well,
now.
until they all started reaching out and asking me to come talk to them, and then I'm like, "Oh, we
Wait a
are on the
minute.
same team.
Yeah.
oh my god.
We
Wow.
are on the same team." Look, that's proof. Do you know how many hospital associations, state hospital associations, how many big hospitals, lots of organizations, big
Yeah,
organizations that have asked me to come speak and share this experience?
Sure.
That is proof to me. It gives me faith and hope that
it's gonna
there is
There's a chance.
hope for the future, right? Those people are willing to, I wouldn't think that they would have been comfortable
Right.
right,
sitting
right.
there listening, but they are. They
Mhm.
Yeah, that
are.
was the
They're
question.
engaged and they're there, and if they have something negative to say, no one said it to me gratefully. They've all been very kind and very receptive and asked some really good tough questions.
Mhm.
Real and had really, they're willing to come to the table and have a
That's
difficult conversation. And
Mhm.
there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah,
They're willing to sit in there and know that they've probably been a part of something similar to this.
uh-huh.
They just don't wanna have to do that again.
I mean,
Right?
we said so many people that I've talked to, every single one of us has said, "I can see it. I can see." So we've
Yeah,
all
it's not
lived all of this.
far-fetched.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not far-fetched.
Yeah.
That leads me to my next question. You were talking about having conversations with all of these different groups and you've been able to voice your story and your thoughts and advocate for change. What conversations are you wishing to still have that haven't happened, whether it's with hospital
Ooh.
leaders or certain groups? What do you wish? What conversations do you wish to?
I think the conversation we were just talking about is one that's really it's really important to me that I'm really focusing on. Like, I've had a chance to talk to a lot of people at the top, and that's great. And there are a lot of people that are out there doing that.
Mhm.
Um, I wanna talk to the people that are doing the work.
Yeah.
I want you to know that you have the skill set to
Yeah.
be able to speak up, to be
Mhm.
able to say something, to be able to own this profession and its trajectory. Look, it's going somewhere,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? It's going somewhere. Where's it gonna go?
Where do you want it to land?
Where do you want it to land? Right? If you had told me at any point in my life prior to being 28 or 29 that I was gonna be a nurse, I'd have laughed in your face. If you'd have told me that I was gonna be a nurse that people would know, I'd have been like, for what?" We don't know. You don't ever know what little thing that you're gonna do that's gonna have a really big impact.
Right.
Yeah.
Who
True.
would have thought that me making an error that ended someone's life would have this level of an impact? I sure can tell you I never saw that coming.
Well, I can tell you
You
in our
don't
ethics class, they used to do a mock trial, and I cannot tell you how many semesters in a row it was the Radonda Vaught versus the state of Tennessee versus Radonda Vaught.
there's no winning that.
I know,
It's the truth, though.
There isn't.
Well,
There isn't any winning that.
you
but your impact is huge.
well, yeah,
The
and
impact is
that's
huge, right? And it was just me pushing on, like, I'm just gonna keep going, right? I'm just gonna keep doing this, and it's funny because my husband, who believes in me so much, also is very protective over me, and he was highly concerned that I wouldn't take a settlement with the state for these criminal charges. He
mhm,
was really hopeful that I would just settle so that there was 100% certainty that I would not go to prison.
Yeah,
mhm,
Right, going to trial was risky. You could be found guilty. You don't
absolutely.
know what's gonna happen after that. There are no guarantees, right? And for him, that risk was really hard to just sit back and watch because I was like,
I can't even
"F
imagine.
it. I don't care. I got nothing to lose." And I remember saying that. He said, you have nothing to lose? You could go to prison. Oh, I could lose you."
Oh,
Oh,
And he said in that moment, he was like, "You have to think about yourself here. I know you're fighting this because you feel like it's the wrong thing." And I would constantly talk about what a sham this was and how horrible the impact was gonna be on the nursing profession.
Mhm.
This was
Absolutely.
gonna be so bad for healthcare. This was gonna be so bad for nursing. I can't be the one that agrees to that. I'd rather them find me guilty than agree to it because then I've set the tone that I think that that's what everyone else should do, and I can't do that. And he said, "You have to start thinking about yourself. What if you wind up in prison? What if this and this? You're not gonna change healthcare."
Ooh, and look at you changing healthcare.
Look at you
And I
changing.
was like, "Yeah, it's not really my goal, but, like, I'm also just not gonna be the person that starts this trend."
Right.
And
You don't
look,
want it to go this way when you're like, "Nope, I needed to go this way."
right? And so that's what I'm telling you. I'm telling everyone that is coming into this profession, you don't know what impact you're gonna have. Some little bit of communication, a little bit of pushback on the things that are not appropriate, a little bit of communication around, "Hey, I'm not gonna do this, but I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to show up here." Those things can go a long way. And maybe it's a snowball effect. Maybe it's just a few of you
Mhm.
over time, right? It builds up. We have to have this understanding that it is on us as a profession to determine where this career goes, what happens with it. If we want to see change, if we want to see improvement, it's got to be on us. And it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take some understanding of really complex concepts that have nothing to do with assessing a human and providing care for them. It
Right.
goes far beyond that. It goes understanding hospital structure, understanding what that team looks like outside of the people practicing in your bubble,
Mhm.
understanding what it looks like to be a nurse from a legal perspective, understanding system organization and structure and how that operates, understanding the ITs coming in. All of these different things are happening around you, and you're a very important piece in this really complex environment. You have to know where your role is in relation to all those other things and
Right.
how you fit in. Because if you are not, what's the phrase? It's like if you just sit back and let it's going to happen to you,
Mhm.
Not with
and
you.
as opposed to like being active participant. Like you
Right.
can fight back or you can just sit there and let it happen to you,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
right? I would like for this. I would like for these younger generation of nurses to know that we see that the burden on you is very heavy.
For
Yeah.
sure.
For sure, it's very
Absolutely.
heavy, but you absolutely have all of the tools that you need to
Right.
just be able to start from the basics and advocate for yourself
See?
and work your way up from there.
Yep.
You mentioned that you had seen policy change since
Oh,
your
this
story
Mhm.
came about. Have you seen any policies that have changed things for the good or changed things for the bad? Like, have you seen both sides of it?
Well, so as far as policies, like, inside of the hospital,
In anything, really, that's
yeah,
sparking off from
policy
your
the
law.
state of
story?
Kentucky actually passed, a law that would prevent, criminal charges
Nurses.
um, against someone in the healthcare profession who made a medical error.
Okay.
Um, if as long as there was, certain things that happened, but basically, the neighbors to my north saw this and they were like, "We don't want that to happen here." And so they took it in front of their professional boards and organizations and they lobbied for it and they were able to pass this bill that kind of
Wow.
provides some protection around that because I think part of a big concern was, well, now I'm gonna not only could I lose my job and my license, but now I'm also literally gonna go to prison
Mhm.
and lose my family, lose my ability to ever vote again, to ever have a job again, your ability to be a productive member of society,
Mhm.
um, and
Someone
it's
who will
gonna
self-report.
stifle information
Yeah.
flowing. People are gonna stop talking about errors altogether, and
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
we don't we're just gonna keep repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again if we don't figure out how to address and fix these system process errors. So, that was a big thing, that was a very positive thing. Um, inside hospitals, a lot of hospitals have listened to and they've read articles that have been written and they've tried to look at the CMS report, not the initial one, but the one that actually has the corrective plan attached to it.
Mhm.
Um, and then like ISMP, the Institute for Safe Medication Practices, they've written a lot of articles and they talk a lot about safe medication practices and what that looks like. And so a lot of people took those into considerations and they started making changes. I'll tell you, Vanderbilt did some really helpful things way after the fact.
Yeah.
It took a little while, but they did do some important things that were actually helpful. So when it comes to overriding a paralytic medication, you actually have to type in para, P-A-R-A, and then the name of the medication. So rocuronium, succinylcholine, vecuronium, whatever it is. That's
Oh.
an added buffer.
Yep.
Um, when you pull the paralytic agents out now, they are actually shrink wrapped. Like
I did do
like
that somewhere.
kind of
Yeah.
like a highlight
like
exclamation
heat
point.
shrink,
This is what
shrink
I
wrap.
got.
Right. So that again, there's an extra layer of protection. When we think about errors and mistakes in healthcare, we want to have this idea that everything is preventable, right? The whole CMS
Yeah.
do no harm. That's a that's a
That's loaded.
it's loaded. It's loaded.
Wow.
It's loaded and it's unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
It's unsafe because it sets you up to automatically like, how am I gonna but the realistic expectations that no one is ever gonna make a mistake and no harm is ever gonna happen, that'd be great, but we're humans and we all know that the reality is not that. So I prefer to think of it as how do you design the work that you're doing so that you have some buffer, right? Like, not only do I have a safety belt in my car, and not only do I have airbags, but now they've added all these other really cool features like the cruise control will adapt to the car in front of you.
Right.
It's the greatest
Don't
thing.
get her started on that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Or the fact that it will sense if something's braking too quickly and brake for you. Or the lane control from here to there.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
the
I hate
little
that.
lights that flash over here, right?
So my nerves.
She's gonna be hitting the override button. I can already call it.
I tell you that's a synonym for the way that I think about safety.
It's true
It's
though.
so
That's a
true.
beautiful
Car
picture.
people build these cars. Do you think they build these cars and they're like, "Oh, we put in all these safety feet. We put on these lights and dingy things. So now we can just take the seatbelt out and the airbags. We don't have to worry about that. We've made the car so safe that it's never gonna crash."
So true.
No!
Perfect
You
analogy.
thought about these things.
More airbags. They put in all these other things because not if, but when the car crashes, maybe you don't die.
Yeah,
Here's a thought.
You
seriously
slow
though.
down enough that you only hit the person in front of you at 10 miles an hour instead of
Person,
50.
if you break some bones, but you're not.
Right. It's not catastrophic. You fail with what's the word? It's leaving me. You have room. You fail with buffers, right? With
buffers.
capacity. You have capacity to fail more safely. Not if, but when you fail, there is capacity there to fail more safely. Not if, but when the nurse accidentally gets the wrong medicine in her hand. How do we make it so that's failure?
Yeah.
But failing safely looks like a shrink wrap. So then I'm like, oh shit.
I got
And
the shrink wrap one.
never reaches the patient.
Yes.
That's failing with capacity. Do you
is
see what I'm saying?
interesting.
That's system design.
To me, the failure is the harm of the patient. But what you're saying
Right.
is it's 7 steps before that. And
It's
that,
before
I
that.
think that perspective is huge.
That's
It
huge.
is.
If
Yeah,
we can
it
change the
is.
perspective
Fail
on
that.
that can
Fail
solve some problems.
Oof.
Right? Right?
Girl, you smart.
He's so.
You so smart.
Ugh.
Now, what do you?
These are the things that I think about constantly. And
But
I couldn't even
unfortunately,
imagine being in your brain.
But it's come at a price, unfortunately.
Yeah,
too,
unfortunately,
though.
that had to happen to you.
And it never should have had to happen.
and let's talk about that price.
Yeah.
Because you guys are thinking about me. And that's
Oh,
very
I know.
I know how you feel. You
And
are all
yes.
about the patient.
price is that the real price for this is that someone died. And that woman's name is Charlene Murphy. And she died and she lived. She suffered a really tragic, horrible, awful death. And then her family also had to suffer for years while this got drug out in the public.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the price that was paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Emotional.
I would like to to be able to honor and respect that price
Absolutely.
by saying, I'm going to do everything I can to try to find some room for improvement.
Right.
I can never go back and I can never be that good, doting, fluffy nurse that I was before all of this. That's fine. But I can still use this experience and what I know and what I've learned and the connections I've made with other people and the things that they have taught me to share it with people who are willing to listen, because there is a thirst here for something's got to change.
Absolutely. I think we all say that.
So, just weird. So, I teach an online leadership class, and you're talking about systems, just culture. That's in our book. I mean, like, but I feel like we don't live it. Do you feel like things are starting to spin into
I
that?
feel like we're starting to see, I feel like people are starting to get big systems, hospital systems, and the people that are at the top, they're starting to get that. They're starting to see,
I mean,
because
that's
this
good.
case made, right, it's not just one little case in their hospital.
Right.
This case blowing up nationwide and gaining the attention
Global.
it did globally. I've talked to people in France. It's
Mhm.
crazy. Um, the amount of attention that this event gathered, the spotlight that was put on it, the amount of information that we were able to extract out of it because it went to court, because we don't have to worry about HIPAA anymore, because the medical records are out there for everyone to see, because the investigative reports are out there for everyone to see. It really allowed people to take a look into their own lives, their own hospitals, their own facilities, and realize there are some definite problems. And actually, thought like Vanderbilt was kind of supposed to be like the creme de la creme.
Mhm. Right.
They
Absolutely.
expected just culture, they
There. Yeah.
expected all of these things, they expected a swift response. This, if it could happen there, it could happen anywhere. And what does just culture look like? Does it look like the way that this nurse was treated? Does it look like the way that this family was treated? Does it look like this? No, probably not. So what they've got to see is an actual perfect example of when worst case scenario happens. Are you sticking to your guns when it comes to just culture, or are you falling back to your old ways?
Mhm.
Love it. It's a great
Well, and I'm sure it's
Because there's a choice there, right? And how your leadership responds after an event absolutely matters. It
oh, yeah.
absolutely matters, because you could say you have a just culture all you want, but I promise you, when something bad happens, they're going to be watching to see, what'd you do to that nurse?
Yep.
Mhm.
Right?
I'm sure
What
from
happened? Right?
facility to facility, it's almost like, okay, this bad thing happens here at our hospital, but we don't want to broadcast it for everyone. And that experience that you went through at Vanderbilt,
Lack of
it
transparency.
had it was broadcasted, and now everyone's kind of looking around like, oh, that's happening to me too, you know?
Yeah.
It kind of
It's
like a
bringing
medical diagnosis or something. You're like, oh, like, ooh, that's with me, and I don't want to tell anybody, but then everybody else has the same problem, you know.
it's
And if we could
bringing a
just talk about it and figure out
Well,
a
there's so much shame around it. I mean, I
yes,
wanted to go and talk to people about this. I
right,
didn't want to tell anybody that I had made a mistake so badly that someone died.
right.
No, I didn't want to tell anybody that. Like, and that's another part of the reason why we just sit with this stuff. Like, nurses don't want to, because we're judgy, right? Hard. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, Radonna, when
we're a feral bunch of
we are,
people here.
especially when there's food involved.
It's feast or famine. We're either with you or we're here to cut
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
one or
Um,
the other.
when you said to us when we first talked to you on the phone, "I'm a felon," I was
That hit.
uncomfortable because I was like,
That
"Oh,
hit.
should we say that?" Like that
Yes. Yes,
that
you
was
should say that. I
Mhm.
am a felon. I am a
That is
felon.
just
I
like
am on an abuse registry. I am on 3 different databases for my nursing license having been revoked. I could not vote. If I traveled out of state, I had to call and get written permission from someone, a written piece of paper saying where I was going, when I was going to be back, and who my point of contact was going to be there. How was I going to get there and back? How long was I going to be there? For what reason? If I mean, I couldn't carry a firearm. I live on a farm in the middle of Tennessee. I'm a redneck.
I mean,
Okay. Like 300-yard shot is no problem for me.
mhm.
I'm very comfortable and I'm pro Second Amendment safely. I'm pro
Yeah.
safe gun ownership. Okay. That was no longer, if I saw, like, my husband didn't exactly work a normal job. He was not around. So I'm in the middle of 60 acres on a farm. I've got chickens and sheep, and there's a coyote out there. What am I supposed to do about it? Well, just yell at it and run it off now because I can't do anything about it. Right? I've got a skunk or a possum in a trap because it's been eating my chickens. I gotta go call my neighbor and ask him if he can do something about it because I'm sure not gonna turn it back out because it's just gonna come back and eat my chickens the next night. It's a huge impact on
Right.
your life. Everything changes. You can't go have another regular job because you can't pass a background check. Most people are not gonna hire you as a felon.
And
And
they don't
even if
ask why. "Hey,
the
why is this
record
here?"
right, even if the felony record goes away, I'm still on the databases. I'm
Yeah.
still on the abuse registry, right?
Ah,
Like,
Never
it is
thought
a
about the abuse
huge
registry.
impact that it has on your life. And it
Mm.
does make you feel uncomfortable, but we have to be okay being a little uncomfortable. These are
Yeah,
not comfortable conversations. They're
absolutely.
not. But
but
without
they're crucial.
they
They're
are
crucial.
crucial. They
Yeah.
are uncomfortable, but they are crucial conversations. You don't have to like me. You don't have to empathize with me. That's okay. How you feel about me is less important than your understanding of the reality. That's all I'm really concerned about.
Mhm.
I would much prefer you hate me and think I'm a terrible, reckless person, a shitty nurse, the worst person that ever existed. That's fine. I'm much more concerned about how you got there because you probably got there by misinformation and
Mhm.
lacking a lot of really important facts. And that is not a safe place for you to operate from, not
Yeah.
when you're taking care of people, right? It's not.
Right. Amazing. I mean, not amazing that it happened. That's the wrong word.
But you have
Edit
great
that out.
perspective.
Yeah.
Great perspective.
I have mad respect for you, though, Redonda.
So
Mad.
for a student, well, not even a
Thank
student,
you.
but a student that say leaves us, flies our nest, and they're working in this field.
Yeah.
Say they have a negative outcome happen to them. I mean, heaven forbid that happens. What got you out of bed on those hardest days
Mm,
following that? Even if like the nurse that you were talking to, I mean, you took a moment to rally her, and like you said,
Yeah.
it wasn't even nothing bad ended up happening. She made a mistake and she was still rattled. What would you tell a nurse that, yeah, something bad happened and this is what helped me get up?
One day at a time. It's
Yeah.
not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. And if something really bad happens and there's a bad outcome, there's a point in your life where there's before that and there's after that.
Mm.
yeah.
Um, and that's just the reality of it. You're never gonna be the same person.
So if we ask you to design a course for us
Mm.
based on everything
Your
you've learned
experience.
and gained, not gained,
Yeah.
but everything you've learned, experienced, what would the top 3 content topics look like?
Who's my audience?
Students,
A unit like
Student?
a school of nursing.
School of Nursing.
Oh, okay. I would say we need to talk about what's the expectation? Like, what's the with legal and the expectation, they go all in one because that's the standards you're gonna be held to. So we need to talk about legal. We need to talk about
So,
the
like
3 areas of
state
the law.
level
Yep.
Yeah.
guidelines.
We need to
Okay.
talk about what that looks like.
Okay.
What are the legal responsibilities of being a nurse,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
How can you be held legally responsible and understanding what that's going to look like? We need to spend a lot of time looking at legal and understanding that responsibility. And then I think we need to talk about um, hospital structure, right?
Mhm.
And who the key people are and what they do and the complexity of this. And then I think we need to talk about um, some human factors and system design and organizational culture. Like, we need to have conversations around some of those concepts that aren't really related to healthcare at all. But we need to think about them because those are those are important concepts to give you a framework for how to have a conversation about a problem.
Yeah.
Not just a conversation about a problem with a patient, but a conversation about a problem within a facility because there are lots of problems within facilities. There just
Absolutely.
are. There always will be. That's
They're
not
filled
that's
with
not
people.
not healthcare. Everywhere. I'm sure there's problems working at Target.
Yeah.
Okay. just the risk is different,
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
right? The risk is different, and the risk is high here. It's high here because we're taking care
It is
of
life
real
and death.
people.
Mhm.
It literally is life and death, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you don't know when it's gonna be your turn or
Mm,
your loved one's turn
Mm,
mhm.
to
mm,
be in that position. You don't know.
mm.
And so, don't we all just wanna be the best that we can be,
Absolutely.
Gosh,
right?
yes.
So, that those are the conversations I would like to have. I want young nurses to feel like that they have a real candid understanding for what this role looks like, not just as a nurse taking care of patients, but you as a nurse, as a worker, as an employee in this business. Like, what's your legal responsibility look like? Where do you fit into the organization? And how can you communicate about these really important things to the right people when you see problems coming up?
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
The rest of the stuff you guys are already doing.
Thank you.
Yes, you're
I
already
was thinking no, but she was like over here taking all
I was
the
like,
credit.
"Yes, I know, I am, thank you."
I mean,
She's a
acknowledgement is
princess.
lovely.
I like that she went straight for the shoulder.
Yum, yum,
I
yum,
know.
yum.
Yeah, brush it
Well,
down the
I
shoulder.
have one more question for you. What does hold on, I gotta get it right in my brain before I ask you. What gives you hope about the future of nursing?
Oh, good question.
Conversations like this, genuinely,
Yeah.
conversations like this give me hope because it's you guys you're curious, you're trying to do something good, you're thinking outside of the box here, like, you're educators, but you're like, "You know what? Guess what? We're gonna take it a step further. We're gonna do a podcast. We're gonna talk about important things that I if I can't talk to you
The hair
about it,
flip was appropriate.
it was appropriate, right? Like, that these kinds of conversations are important. Having the opportunity to tell what I have learned and have, this digestible conversation with a whole lot of different people
Mm.
that are taking it in and they're like, "Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna ruminate on this and I'm gonna okay, we got some things we're gonna do here," right? Instead of just being like, "Well, it was, she was a bad nurse.
Right.
Right.
So
She
true.
deserved to lose her license, and she probably deserved to go to prison too."
Yeah.
Where does that get you? It gets
Yeah,
you
that's so true.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, what makes me hopeful is people that are willing to they're willing to acknowledge that we got some work to do,
Mhm.
and, hey, we might not be
Love
on
to.
the same side of the fence here, but it doesn't mean we can't find some common ground to come together
Absolutely.
around, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My last question.
Oh gosh. And we got
Ooh,
all the what like we hit all the student questions too. That's what I was checking just now. I wanted to make
did we
Okay.
hit
sure
all the student
we
questions?
had hit all the student
Yeah.
questions. So
Okay.
Believe we've
glad
had
we
a
did that.
there we actually have a student who is in the program, like sophomore, senior, I don't know
I'm not sure what level.
what level, but she wrote a paper about your case when she was
Taking an English
in
class.
English
Oh,
class,
wow.
first
Yeah, she wrote it
semester.
for her English class
So when
and she reached out to me so fast and she was like, "This really has stuck with me. I really want
what's
these
her name?
questions answered."
Wow.
Let me pull
Okay,
it.
did
It was,
we answered all her questions?
that,
Yeah,
well,
we
she's
did.
looking.
We
Okay,
answered
good, because
all of
that
it.
girl
Don't
deserves
double
to have
check
her
me.
questions answered.
So her 3 questions as nursing students entering a high pressure clinical world, what mindset or habits would you recommend start building now to support patient safety and prevent burnout? And I think we talked about communication and
Boundaries.
boundary setting
Yep.
and trusting
Yeah.
your gut. And it
Things
doesn't
to
all
look
just
for in
boil
your
down
work
to
environment, right?
clinical skills. Like that's
It's not all gonna happen overnight, right?
yeah.
True.
It's little things that you can do to protect yourself while you gain clinical skills to be able to provide safe care.
Yeah.
Use your blinders, use your lane assist, use your
Yeah.
adaptive
I
cruise.
Yes.
love the analogy.
Yes, use your voice. If you see something, say
Say
something.
something.
Mhm.
That's
Her
going on a t-shirt.
I love
Mhm.
it. Her second one, what would you say to new nurses or students who worry that one mistake could end their career?
Mm.
One mistake driving could end your life.
Mhm. But we still get out and drive every day.
You could get on the airplane that
Yeah.
doesn't make it.
Mm.
You could, any number of things could happen in your daily life. you have to find balance
Mhm.
with that perceived level of risk because it is certainly there, and while it is important to acknowledge that it it is a potential reality, the reality is it's not going to be everyone's reality,
Yeah.
True.
okay? So
That's
so
so
don't live there, right? Don't live down here in the pit of fear
mm,
because when you're in the pit of fear, there's like
That just makes it
it
worse.
can be
it's makes
paralyzed.
it's paralyzing,
Bad word.
and I lived there for a while,
Yeah.
and I felt like I was it was like my life was paralyzed, which was very ironic,
That
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
right? But that's very much how I felt, just stuck.
Mm.
It don't live there. You don't have to live here,
Yeah.
right?
No, that's right.
It's like taking a trip and, like, you drive you drive through a part of town, you're like, "Well, I don't really like it here." Don't stay there.
Yes.
Right.
Lock your
Just
doors and keep going.
right? Like, "Okay, I know that this is a risk," right? Acknowledge it and move forward.
Yeah.
There are risks everywhere. There are risks in everyday life,
Uh,
right? I'm sure those people that were just going to the Parts House in Louisville, Kentucky months ago didn't think that that was a risky move. But here comes a UPS flight that an engine went out on and the whole thing crashed and the whole Parts House blew up,
holy
right?
Mhm.
heck.
Life is crazy
Right.
and things happen all the time that we don't have any control over.
Yep.
So living in fear is not healthy. Understanding that the risks are there will guide you, but
Acknowledge.
don't live in the fear.
Yep.
That's not
That's
healthy.
great advice. Her last question was, has anything changed in the national conversation about just culture that gives you hope? And on the flip side, are there any trends or attitudes that worry you? For example, some people say the profession is becoming less respected or that nursing is no longer viewed as highly professional. I would love to hear your perspective on whether those concerns feel valid to you.
They do feel valid. There's a lot of valid conversations that are happening around both of those things. I think that nurses are feeling the lack of respect. Workplace violence is an enormous issue, and both, lateral violence within the workplace or also coming from patients and family members.
Mm-hmm.
That is very disrespectful behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't do that to someone you respected. And so for the amount of violence that happens against nurses and healthcare workers, I would say that's a big conversation about where you feel, how respected do you feel if someone's treating you like garbage and, you know, and harming you. Also how safe you feel and supported by your facility. It has a lot to say about, how they view you as a profession, and how they treat you. And those are really important things. I think what I would say to the younger nurses is that you're acknowledging that these are real conversations, that these are real problems,
Love it. That
I
they're
and
think that's
asking.
big.
don't sit in those,
Right.
you know, little bitty increments, right? You'll have soapboxes. You'll all have your soapboxes. You'll all have your things. Coming together and realizing that you have more in common than you lack. There are more reasons to come together than there are to fight with each other.
That is so true.
And so we can't let these kinds of issues divide the profession. And I feel like that's a lot of what's happening, not just in our profession, but as a society, there's a lot of division. There's a lot of stress. Anytime you have stress, the first thing you have to think about is self-preservation. Right? I have
Mhm.
to worry about my bubble. And so that is we are entering into a difficult time in our society and a difficult time in our healthcare environment where self-preservation is the mode that most people are living in. They're just trying to get by every day. And when we're in self-preservation, we're kind of like a rabid raccoon. You know, we don't
There
exactly
we go.
we don't want to collab with each other. Okay, um, we're we're all just trying to like make it back to our little trash can dumpster at the end of the day, and it not be on fire and rolling downhill.
Right?
Okay,
Words to live by.
we're just trying. So I
Absolutely.
would say find your common ground with people. Have a little grace, right? Because the other thing is you're going to enter this profession. That's what you're going to see. All these angry, bitter, burnout, resentful faces that are just going to, you know, it's scary. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you're going to be faced with meeting these characters, but try to offer some grace and um, understand that they're all coming from a place. They're all coming
Seriously,
from a place,
they
and
have their own moments.
Yeah.
they've had their own moments, and they'll let their guards down, and eventually you'll be able to see that they're human. And when you do, that's when you try to find some common ground, look for opportunities where you can make little bits of impact, right?
I
Little
love
bits
it.
of impact. And sometimes it's just advocating for yourself to not do something unsafe.
Wow.
There's a lot of things, but we're all human. So
Yep.
let's just try to be nice to each other.
Okay. My final question.
Oh, geez. Okay, you said that last question.
Will you
Go
interrupt?
Deja vu.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry. She
She said
Okay.
my last question. She
I'm
said,
normal.
Last question.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Okay. If the Tennessee Board of Nursing were
"Mm-mm,
to offer you your license back, would
nope,
you? You answered that very quickly.
You didn't even
nope."
get it out. She
I
interrupted
know.
I
you.
knew what you were going to ask.
I
I've
bet you didn't ask
been asked
all.
that question a lot.
Oh, okay. Darn it. I thought I was.
You thought you were being original.
I know.
No, that's not an original question, ma'am.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry.
Not only am I
Did we
old,
have
I'm
any
unoriginal.
original questions? Any original?
You had a lot of really good questions. You really did. You had a lot of really good questions. Yeah.
Love it.
I don't need my nursing license. I don't.
You're
I
good.
don't need it. I don't need it. That is not how I identify with my self-worth or my value or what I have to offer the world or how I go about my day-to-day life. I am really lucky, super fortunate. I have a lot of great people around me, and I've been given a lot of opportunity to do some impactful things with what I'm doing now. I don't need a license to do that. Um, I I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too far. I am still in the process of appealing their decision from 2021. But that's on the basis that I don't have another way to complain
Hmm.
about the fact that they did this whole investigation, that it took them 9 months to even start.
Right.
Yep.
Right. They did this whole investigation, and I had this 2-hour recorded conversation, and I told them everything that happened, and I answered all their questions with no attorney present, not advocate. I never asked them for leniency, nothing. We had one conversation with one person 9 months after this happened. And then she said, "You're going to be at the bottom of the stack. It'll be at least a couple months before you hear anything. This was clearly an unintentional error. There's no indication that we think that you would make this mistake again. This is clearly a mistake. This was clearly unintentional. You're going to be at the bottom of the stack. We have bigger fish to fry. We got more threatening people, more threats to the public than this. Okay. So it'll be a couple months before you hear anything. And then the next thing I heard was this letter that was basically saying, you know, this is just to let you know that we've closed this out. There's not going to be any action taken against your license. There won't even be record of this on your licensure file. Thank you for your cooperation. Have a nice day.
October 23rd letter, correct?
Correct.
See,
And then you're here.
And then just a couple of weeks
years-
later, we had another investigation that opened right up. And with the exact same information, this same board came to the conclusion that I was guilty of unprofessional conduct, abandoning a patient, and failure to maintain a record, and then revoked my license unanimously.
Wow.
Same people. There wasn't even a change of board members during this time frame because during COVID, everything went on moratorium and no different people got elected. So the same exact group of professionals made this decision
Wow. I didn't know
as
that.
far as the Board of
Yep.
Nursing goes. That doesn't seem like a safe, prudent
Makes
thing to do as a board. If you thought I was a threat to public safety,
the first time.
by God, you had an obligation to do something about it the first time. It
Right.
did not benefit me. for them to not put it on my nursing, to put it on my record file.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't benefit me. I didn't ask them to do that. I didn't have an attorney. The concept of even asking for something like that was so far outside of my reach. I could not have even fathomed what I could have asked them for. All I thought was, I'm about to lose my license for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
If minimum, they're definitely going to suspend it. They're definitely put me on probation. They're definitely going to make me take all of these extra classes around med safety administration and all this other stuff. That was the least that I was not expecting that at all.
Wow.
So to have them come back and make this other decision and basically just completely ignore the first investigation and act like it never happened. Tell me it's privileged. I can't see it. My attorney can't see it. No one gets to see it. I can't even tell you what that recording was. It's my word against theirs that I told you what happened. They said there's new information. I said, prove it.
What?
Wow.
Prove it. Well, we can't because that investigation file is closed. And because we closed it without taking any action, it's basically null and void and it's privileged. It's protected. We can't reopen it.
So
If
basically,
the,
this is a
do?
separate case, is what they're saying.
The
Even
first
though the
one didn't
facts-
exist. It's gone.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Wow.
it's
I understand.
my wording it's here. So this is why I'm challenging them because this is where we get into administrative law. They have every right to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that is safe because now I'm not a nurse. Now I'm a member of the public.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's safe.
Right.
Right? If they really thought that I was a threat to the public, they didn't even do a fitness to practice evaluation on me. No one even asked, hey, you just killed a patient. Like, are you okay? Have you talked to a therapist?
Yeah.
I was not okay.
Mediation plan. Yeah.
I was not okay. The first time someone coded, I stood there with my feet on the floor and I could not move.
Yeah.
God, Radonda.
I could not move. That was New Year's Eve, going into January 1st of 2019, about a month before I got arrested. I was working in the CVICU. It was myself, my charge nurse, and one other nurse. We had 5 patients. I had 2. The other girl had 2. The charge nurse had 1. I went in. I did my right before midnight assessment on this patient. Nothing about her, hemodynamically, objectively,
Picture good.
said something's wrong.
Oh.
But something was off about her. And I was like, I can't put my finger on it. Maybe it's my neuro ICU spidey senses. Something's not right with her. And I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I left the room. My charge nurse was at the nurse's station, or maybe she was in the break room. She was in the break room because she was, like, she put down her little hat. She was going to say Happy New Year to all of us. And so we did 10, 9, 8, Happy New Year. Hey, can you come into this room? Because something's not right with this patient. Just be a second set of eyes. I don't know. Like, tell me I'm not crazy, right? Because at this point, I'm paranoid about everything,
Of course.
So she walks in the room. She approaches the patient. She's in there for maybe 15 seconds. This patient codes
Wow.
right in front of us.
Mm.
And I could not do anything except for stand there and just watch it happen. So she dropped the bed. She started compressions. I'm standing there frozen. I don't know how long. And finally, like an idiot, I was like, what do I do? And she said, hit the code button on the wall.
Mm.
I hit the code button on the wall. And then I just stood there. Like,
I think there's a little
that's the kind of thing that we need to think about when we talk about, that was the board's responsibility.
Right.
To ask the question, was I a safe nurse?
Mm-hmm.
No, I wasn't going to go out and try to kill someone, but was I in the right mindset to be able to take care of people? I was doing it. I was trying to do my best. Right? But I was traumatized. I was traumatized. I was not prepared for that again.
It kills me that, not kills me, but, for those people that are caught with diversion and drug and addictions, they get called in front of the board and they get offered a program.
That program sucks. It doesn't do them any favors. It doesn't care about them as having an actual addiction process.
But that lets them come right back, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does. It makes it very difficult. It makes it very difficult. There's a lot of hoops that they have to jump through. Rightfully so. You have an addiction process. There needs to be
But
some
you
hard
weren't
checks
even
and balances.
offered. You weren't even offered
Like nothing.
nothing.
They tried to do some things where they wanted to like settle, but again, this was part of those closed door conversations where I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm not, they wanted me to like settle and like sign this consent order with all these extra things in it. And I was like, I'm not doing that. They tried to offer me that program. I'm like, for what?
Yeah, you're not an addict.
It's just like a one size fits all, 10 pap, I think is what they called it. I'm like, for what? It's
See,
years later.
yeah,
Yeah.
you clearly were showing signs of
Right.
PTSD. I mean, clearly.
Yeah,
Um,
there were just a lot of things that I felt like they had a responsibility to do and they didn't. Now, for
they
whatever
did what's out there
reason, they
for us.
decided not to do those things
Mhm.
that I can hypothesize, right? That it was in someone's best interest that there was no record of this, but I wasn't the one asking for it. Um, you know,
Mm,
they made that decision and they wound up with egg on their face when I got arrested.
Mm.
Um, and they were like, I'm sorry, what? This person still has a license? That's what the attorney said when they were calling me. They were like, you know how many phone calls I get a day from people wanting to know how you still have a license?
That's wild.
You let me get the license.
Yeah.
Again, these are the reasons why I'm still pushing against the Board of Nursing because
there's got to be change there too.
there's got to be change there too, right? And it's not like I don't think I'm better than them. I don't think I'm in a position where I should be like, you blah, 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 blah. No, but look, two wrongs don't make a right.
Mm,
Yeah.
Choosing not to do anything and then choosing to swing the hammer 180 degrees in the other direction, guess what? Neither of those things kept people more safe.
Right.
And that, at the end of the day, is what this is all about. This is all about providing safe care, keeping nurses safe, safer
mm.
healthcare in hospitals, making facilities safe. It's all about safety, keeping the public safe. It's all about safety, right?
Pretty much so.
Neither of those things were a fix.
Right.
Neither of those things made things better.
So not only do healthcare organizations need to come to the table, so do governing bodies, which we already know that. But just for instance, like this, we didn't know. I didn't know half of this about the board of nursing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, Redonda, mad respect for you, and
Thanks.
I tell you, this has deeply impacted me
Right.
in my 30 years of practice, 30
Right.
I'm
plus.
so glad. I'm so
I mean,
glad that honestly, I really am because these are the this is important. This is
Mhm.
going to be my life's work,
Yeah.
right? This is how I'm going to make a difference. I don't need that license to do it. I'm going to make a bigger difference now as a felon with a revoked nursing license and on all the databases than I ever would have as a nurse taking care of people at the bedside.
So if
That
you
is my commitment to myself. That is my commitment to Miss Murphy and her family
mm,
that
Mhm.
I am going to make a difference and it is going to be a good difference. I am certain about that.
So if
And
you
you
could
guys are
sorry,
a
sorry.
piece of giving me the opportunity to do that.
We are grateful,
yeah, we're
eternally grateful.
mm,
If you could tell our students any
How do the
one
kids do it these days?
Oh yeah.
oh, I don't know.
No,
My
Sunny
fingers.
taught me one with the crissy cross
Wait,
or
what?
like something
I
with
don't know
this.
what's
Oh,
happening.
this is
I
the
get,
Korean one.
I
Oh, is
get,
that what that is? Sunny
Mhm.
taught me that
I
one.
got arteritis. I
Oh, yeah,
can't.
right.
I got arteritis.
No,
I
I'm
had
Taylor
diabetes.
Swift. Taylor Swift era.
Yeah.
There,
I can do
there.
the
All
Swifty
right, we
era.
did it.
It's
Yay!
something like that.
Yay!
I don't know.
Yeah, there is some like weird one.
Yeah, I
Oh,
got
it's
you.
this. That's it. Hold on.
See, I'm young. There we go. Yep,
Yeah.
I'm hip. If you
Yeah.
could tell our students
You got
one
the
thing, if they could
kids.
take away one thing from you, what would you want them to know?
Oh my God, that's a lot. You're an advocate. That's your first
Yeah,
job, first and foremost.
I
You're
like
an
that.
advocate. Advocate for yourself, advocate for your patients. If you can't do anything else, you are an advocate.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, we thank you
Oh my gosh,
so much.
Okay, you're on my phone now.
I'm
We're
jealous.
friends.
We're friends. We need to do a
I
virtual
feel
book
like
club.
a third wheel here.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Unacceptable.
fun.
Well, truly, if you are ever in the area and want to grab a lunch or coffee, please let us
Yes.
know.
Yeah. Same.
Um,
If you're ever like floating through Nashville, I'm like an hour north. You just
Oh,
hit me
I
My
will find a
sister lives
reason.
there. My sister lives there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
Murfreesboro.
Okay. In the borough. All
In
right.
the borough, exactly.
Borough.
I am a
In the
fan.
borough.
I am a fan.
That-
Thank you so much, Radonda. We appreciate you so much.
gosh, yes.
And
That's been a highlight of my career right now.
yes.
That's quite a big honor.
It is. This is amazing. This has been an amazing conversation, and I can't thank you enough for just how and I hate this word, how transparent you are.
Yes.
It's truly, truly just a blessing for us
Yes.
because
So nice.
here's what can happen,
Yeah.
and this is why we're doing what we're doing.
There's a cost to that, right? People often outside of healthcare, when we hear a nurse or a doctor or someone who works in healthcare say, that kind of thing happens all the time. And you're like, I'm sorry, a patient got the wrong drug and died. And you're telling me that kind of thing happens all the time? I've never heard of such a thing.
Yep.
There are reasons why we don't hear about those things. We don't hear about those things because, one, we have a fear of even putting it in an incident report. Because of all the things that are going to happen. There's fear of retaliation. There's fear of losing your job. Then now there's fear of civil litigation. There's fear of being turned into your professional board and having your license disciplined or worse, revoked. Now there's fear of going to jail and being found guilty of felony charges and being put in prison and losing all your freedoms forever. There's so much fear. Oh, and on top of that, there's HIPAA. You can't violate HIPAA. Oh, and on top of that, if you're not a healthcare worker and you're a patient or a family, there's non-disclosure agreements that come along with almost every single civil litigation settlement, which means we're going to pay you and you don't get to talk about this anymore. So there is silence at every intersection when there would be a possibility to talk about it. There isn't. My voice is not so unique. There are so many people who understand these experiences. The only thing that makes me unique is the fact that I'm not bound by any of that stuff anymore. I don't have a license to lose. I don't have a job to lose. I don't have to worry about retaliation. I don't give a crap what people think about me. I've already got my felony charges. I don't even have to worry about HIPAA anymore because thanks to administrative law and criminal law, all of those documents are all part of the evidence. All of the investigative reports are out there. I am loaded with information, and I had nothing but time on my hands for years to look at it. I had to because I had to be able to defend myself in any way possible. So this was the perfect position for me to be in, to be that voice for all of these other people who know and understand the real risks and the reality of healthcare. That's the only thing that makes me unique.
I think that's what
I'm not
makes it
bound by anything.
so understandable and relatable is because we've all been there.
Yeah.
Those of us that are seasoned nurses, and and we're used to not saying anything. So now we've got to, if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's talk about it.
Talk about it.
All right.
Let's taco about it. That's your
Talk
new
about it.
Taco about it.
Today's Thursday. It's
Yeah, we had
right at my
Mexican.
house.
Yeah,
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
we had
did.
Mexican for
Yeah,
lunch.
We did.
I love that.
Yeah. All right, girl.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
Thank you for
much.
your time.
Thank
And thank you
you.
for everybody watching. As always,
Thanks for scrubbing in. Yo, my gosh.
We out.
Yeah.
We